longer, but always gonna catch up, my bro. But biggest thing in fucking the world should be Ukraine and Russia, but it's not. It's Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock on Sunday at the Oscars. We're recording this Tuesday. So, dude, where do we start, bro? Where do you want to start on this?
I guess we could reflect on it like it was some big historical event. Like, where were you when Will slapped Chris? But my girl came storming in the office.
Oh, was she watching it live?
No, I think she saw it on TikTok or Instagram or something. She's like, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And at first, I kid you not, I thought she was talking about The Rock. And that's why I was so eager. I was like, I got to see this shit. There's no way The Rock didn't like fucking fold him up into a ball and like kick his ass. But I was kind of disappointed to find out it was Chris Rock. Cause I'm like, what could they have like been pissed about?
Yeah.
And when I looked it up, I can't say I was like super shocked. I think, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like not like there were broken bones or blood or like Chris Rock retaliated or anything. Like none of that happened. So I thought it was less shocking than I may have thought earlier. But I think what was shocking to me was, or most people, was just to see like this symbol of positivity, a clean cut image and everything like get pushed over the edge. And I think it just really goes to show, at least for me, that, you know, these people are regular human beings, and for whatever reason people want to portray them as if they're not, and like they can never have a bad day. Not to say that this is excusable behavior, but I think people idolize these people a little too much, to the point where they're like, oh my god, he did what? Like, I can't believe it. And then, you know, we just cancel them, and then they forever like banished to the cancellation realm, and you don't want to fuck with them anymore. I think that part about it all is kind of odd to me, but yeah, that was kind of how I felt when I first saw it.
Yeah, so I mean, back to your original point, where were you when the slap happened? Dude, I was watching another movie. So like, I really, it's funny, dude, because I remember like growing up vividly, like the Oscars were the shit. Like I remember like, dude, even if my mom was in India, or, you know, if I was in the States, like we would watch at the same exact time and like, oh my God, can you believe he won? So it's shocking how much it's not that big a deal. So when I heard about it, I initially thought, oh, a stunt. Like they pulled some stunt to like get ratings up or the clicks up, and they're going to make money off this in the back end. Mm-hmm. But then when I saw the audio of him like yelling at Chris Rock, like that's when I'm like, oh, this shit was real, bro. Like, this actually, I mean, we think it actually. I don't know, like we don't know anything, but at least my assumption at that point was like, oh, this actually happened. Bro, but like, I don't know, what would you do? Like, what would you do in that situation? Like, what do you think Blair would do?
So here's where I agree with a lot of people, in the sense of, I think Chris Rock was caught in the crossfire of prior emotions that Will had. Like he was going through some shit, and I think he just happened to be that one person that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And I've been in situations myself and around other people where like after a certain point, when you've been pushed to the edge, like it doesn't matter if that person said something that wasn't like that severe, like you're just snapping on them because they're the last person to push that button. In this particular instance, like on a public platform like that and everything, if I was really pissed, I would like to think I would have done everything minus the slapping part. Like I might have yelled from the crowd, like, you know, keep her name out of your mouth or whatever, but it's hard to say because like objectively speaking, I don't think the joke was that serious. But if someone made fun of, say, like my wife's diabetes or something, you know, maybe I would react in a way where like, you know, keep your mouth shut before I slap the shit out of you or something. And yeah, I don't know. It's always a tricky question to me because I know a lot of people, including like some of my family members, have been like, he should have done this, I would have done this, we would have done that. And I don't know if people really ever truly know how they would react in a certain situation given the context of things. Like all of us would like to think if XYZ happened, you know, we would maintain our composure and everything, but we don't really know unless we were in that exact situation.
Yeah, dude, all very fair points. Yeah, I agree with the side comment of like Chris Rock being like caught in the crosshair, you know, hair, no pun intended. Like, bro, like, there's no way. Dude, I actually don't even think he knew that she had like, that disease, like alopecia.
Right.
Like, I feel very confident that he had no idea about that.
Same.
Like, he just saw that, yo, you're bald. Let me make a bald joke.
Right.
Like that's it. I guess they played a clip that this may go back a few years because he made a joke about her like at the Oscars like 6 years ago. Because apparently like she held out from going to the Oscars, and it's like he was like, "What do you mean held out? Like, why would you invite her? She never hasn't had a good movie in years." So, like shit like that. So, like, dude, but I think it really is like Will Smith has been dogged about the entanglement shit for now a year and a half, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like, yo, your wife's controlling you. Like your movies kind of suck recently, even though we'll get to that. Like, he also just won a fucking Oscar. Like that's like, which no one's gonna remember anymore, which sucks. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be a stain on his career. But yeah, dude, I think it was just like Chris Rock made the one, not the one joke, but I think Will was done with the jokes. Right? He's just done. It could have been like the worst like knock joke. You know what I mean? And he was gonna spaz on anyone, bro. Like I really believe that. Like, it could have been The Rock. And he could have gone up there, but The Rock would have fucking swung back or some shit, right?
Yeah,
or reacted.
Or just like put him in a headlock or something.
Yeah. Like, or like, what the fuck are you doing walking on the stage, right? But yeah, so I don't get mad at him for reacting, but fam, like that can't happen. Like that's the thing. Like you cannot fucking do that, bro. Like, first of all, this is a live show to the entire fucking world. It's a bad look for everyone. And essentially, dude, it's fucking assault. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they should have fucking thrown him out of the fucking awards show. But I mean, they probably, I didn't watch the show, but I think there was like half an hour left until his nomination. So they probably just let him rock. And like, they probably were also like, yo, what the fuck just happened, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, bro, like that shit cannot happen. Like, dude, think about it, dude, stand-up comedy is like a multi-million-dollar industry. If you just had people walking on stage and slapping the shit out of comedians, like, bro, like, that shit would go extinct. Like, that cannot fucking happen. So, that's my biggest thing, bro. Like, you gotta figure something out. Like you said, like, I'm fine if he fucking yells, like, yo, shut the fuck up. Yo, I'll see you outside. Or, yo, or fucks him up backstage. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there was a tussle. But, bro, you cannot get up stage and put your hands on a fucking presenter because you don't care for a joke, bro. That was poor, bro.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely inappropriate behavior. Based on what I saw on socials, like I did think some people were being too extreme with like, they were like, oh my god, this is the most horrific act of violence I've seen in a long time and shit. I'm like, it's not that deep. Like, I don't condone. Yeah. I don't condone slapping people. I think a closed fist honestly would have been different. Like if he swung on him, knocked him to the ground, like closed fist,
and like
then I think
on him.
Yeah, like kept swinging on him, and like it became some full on brawl. It'd be like, wow, this is like embarrassing for everybody. But
everyone, yo, shut it down.
Yeah, but like the slap shit, I'm like, this is probably like happens at like rich people dinners like every now and then, and I don't think people are up in arms about it. I don't know. I'm just a little against the whole like, you know, the stereotypical like, I don't know, rich kid in the suburbs who's like threatening to sue you because, you know, you fucking pushed his shoulder or whatever, and it's like, my dad's a lawyer, like you're going to prison for 100 years and shit. But I also don't think I think people would be dumb to think that Will Smith's behavior is going to encourage kids to be slapping people. Maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't see that as like anyone's glorifying what he did. Maybe some women out there are like, yeah, I want my man to beat somebody's ass on my behalf. I've never felt that need to like defend my woman's honor unless someone was like literally
and like physicalness. I'll defend her like in let's have a conversation, my guy. Like, well, how do you or female, like how do you feel about like like that it's okay to say hurtful things to, you know, my person, but yeah. Dude, like if it ever came to blows, like I feel like that would be my own like I have something to work out. Like it has nothing to do with the person I'm wanting to hit. You know, like it's like my own issue.
Yeah. I also disagree with some people claiming, oh, he wouldn't have done this if this was The Rock or whatever. I think he was fuming. Like, I don't know if you've been in a rage, but there's certain levels of rage where you're like, I don't give a fuck if this dude's 100 times bigger. Like, he's getting slapped or yelled at or whatever.
Like, even if you're panicking inside while you're doing it, you're like, I just have to get this out.
Right. You're like, I know I'm going to die right after I slap him or whatever, but I just need to do it. So I disagree that people think Chris Rock is some weak, frail man that Will Smith just wanted to dominate. I think Will just had enough and was like, fuck it. Like, you know, whatever happens. It was like a horrible, impulsive decision, but I don't know. It is interesting how like this one moment that if it took place anywhere else by two different people wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I think just the level of fame that these two are at and the way we've idolized them in so many different ways, and they happen to be black, just like makes it all a huge conversation.
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I hope no one from my company is listening. Like yesterday had to be the most unproductive day of the year because it was just nonstop, bro.
Oh, same.
Memes. Like
I could not pay attention.
I was like, bro, like these meme pages are making millions today, bro, because holy shit. It was just nonstop. Like there was a great thing, like a meme about like, here, traveler, rest up. No more Will memes for you. Because like that's how everyone felt, bro. Like it was just too fucking much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot. And then, you know, I think there's like a whole like masculinity conversation to it as well that needs to be had, because I mean, I feel like for women at least, like when they're teased and shit, like you don't really expect them to like do something about it,
right?
Like fight back, you know, maybe with words or like, you know, just be a quote unquote boss bitch and fight through it. But like I feel like with guys there is this like expectation of like, oh, you gotta retaliate and do something. And I've even heard a lot of people call Chris Rock out for not fighting back. Some people saying Will Smith's slap was weak and all kinds of stuff. And I know it's all fun and games, but I feel like there is a toxic element to masculinity in the sense of like, you better do something about it. Because now everyone's like, oh, Will Smith should have just sucked it up and shit. But I've seen a lot of situations where a dude is being mad disrespectful and people are like, yo, you're not gonna like punch him in his shit or like stomp him out or shoot him or whatever. So like there needs to be a better consensus on how to handle yourselves, because people are calling out Will Smith because it's a public platform. He's like, you know, has it all. So they're like, oh, that's stupid. But if this happened at a fucking Starbucks between two people, I don't know if the same shit would be necessarily.
Yeah, but I mean, the only reason I'll push back, I feel like setting and context matters, bro. Like, it is like, even if you are that disrespected, like in that moment, I feel like you have to be aware of your setting. Like, if you are at a fucking Chili's or a Starbucks or some shit, and some fucking random is going off on your wife, like, yeah, dude, you're gonna step up to them because, like, it's a different setting. Like, settings matter, you know what I mean? Like, It's like those jokes we make, like, from back in the day, like, when keeping it real goes wrong. Like, bro, you can't keep it real everywhere. Like, and that's part of I think the job when you decide to be a fucking celebrity, bro. Like, everything you do becomes a different setting. So, like, I feel like you do have to pick and choose. Again, it's hard, again, because I do feel like, to our point earlier, like, he was going to go off on anyone that night that made a joke about fucking him and his wife. Like, anyone. Right. It could have been a female. Like, maybe he doesn't go up there and slaps her, but he fucking goes up there and, like, wags his finger at her fucking face. You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe that shit. So, I just think you have to be better in that setting, bro. Like, that you cannot walk on that stage. Like, no, that cannot happen. And I do that. I'm not calling Chris Rock a pussy for not swinging back. Dude, if anything, he's getting praise from what I'm for just keeping his cool. Because, like, fam, like, what just happened? You know what I mean?
If anything, I was super impressed with his response, particularly because when shit like this happens, I have no choice but to like view it from a lens of like, oh, racially, how is this gonna play out, especially in this climate. And I'm like, if Chris Rock, I almost call him Chris Brown, if Chris Rock had fought back and they were tussling on the floor, I think a lot of people would be like, see, like you can't take black people anywhere or whatever. But Chris Rock handled it like a gentleman, didn't fight back. He even like laughed it off. And like, you know, what was he really supposed to do? I think if anything, it made Will look more emotional and out of control.
Right. So honestly, that's a great fucking point. I think how well Chris handled it made Will look that much worse. Like, because it's just two extremes. It's like calm and composure after a very emotional incident, and the exact opposite because you got emotional. Like, it's just massive, like, extreme. So that's why I think the backlash against Will is a little bit more aggressive, 48 hours removed. But like, so long term, bro, like, he just won an Oscar, right? Essentially on top of the world, he should feel. I mean, I really don't think this is gonna last very long, bro. Like, I think there'll be like another awards show that they make a joke about it, ironically enough, and then like, I see the comments like people like, let's cancel him. Bro, you're not canceling Will Smith.
That's the shit that pisses me off. I'm like, you guys want to fucking cancel everyone. Like, it reminded me of the Travis Scott situation. And I know, like, I do my best to not give a shit about what is going on with celebrities, because at the end of the day, like, it really doesn't affect us for the most part. At all.
At all.
I mean, it'll affect me mentally sometimes, but I think I just was very upset with the culture we live in now, where like we big up these celebrities and then they make a mistake, even if it's stupid, but no one died, like none of that shit happened, no one even went to the hospital, and like everyone all of a sudden's a fucking lawyer. I think a lot of it has to do with like some sort of deep-rooted jealousy of like celebrity privilege, like, oh look, he didn't get carried away to jail or whatever. And yeah, I do think a lot of celebrities kind of act as if they're above the law and get away with shit. But at the same time, like, it's really not that deep, man. Like, we don't need to start fucking taking I Am Legend off Netflix and doing all kinds of stuff.
There was like a theory that they might take his Oscar away. I'm like, what?
That's stupid. Like, he won this shit. Like, you can't. That's just weird. But I wanted to ask you, because like, for me, at least, the confusing thing was I couldn't find the joke Chris Rock said until I went through like 10 clips. And I'm like, damn, that's all he said? I thought he said like, yo, your wife was like blowing me in the back room or something.
Yeah. I thought it was a sexual thing as well, bro. I'm like, So what, go back to your question?
I was going to ask you, like, speaking of context, let's say this is a situation where she has cancer or something. Chris Rock knows and makes a joke about her being bald. Like, let's say he knows she's going through chemo or something. Do you think in any instance there's a time where someone crosses the line with the joke that it's understandable that you'd want to slap them? Not close fist punch them, but slap them as a statement.
Yeah. So 100%, dude. Like, even if Chris Rock doesn't know and she actually has cancer and that's like she looks that way because of chemo, you have every right to want to slap him. But you also are fucking a 53-year-old man with 3 kids. Like, you have to have some form of self-control and not slap him in that setting. Like, that's my only thing, dude, the setting. Like, that just is a bad look for everyone, because if we didn't have video of this shit and it's just a rumor that we heard, backstage tussle between Rock and Smith, it's like, all right, bro, like, I can, like, he crossed the line with that joke by his wife, blah, blah, blah. But you cannot do that shit, bro. Like, you can't. Like, that's where I lean on, bro. Like, you cannot let that happen. Like, you can be mad. Dude, I've had days where, like, I'm mad at the world over the dumbest shit. Like, bro, I hold the door for a dude and he doesn't say fucking thank you. I'm like, bro, let me catch you next time, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the dumbest shit. So, like, I get the wanting to fucking slap someone, but, bro, like, you can't. Like, my thing is that you can't. Again, and to your point, even if Jada had cancer, still, you can grab her knee and be like, yo, I'm gonna talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to storm on stage, make the whole fucking thing about yourself, and then apology the next day, bro. And the apology was weak, bro. Like, again, we are all working on ourselves. Like, I get that, you know, and he's a work in progress too. We all are. But fam, that doesn't excuse what you did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I hate when, like, I'm all about mental health, but fam, like, nah, dog. Like, there's mental health shit, and there's also, you were just fed up with life that day, and you wanted fucking violence. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you wanted to do something that day. So, yeah, I think context of the manner of that situation matters, bro. Like, I think you can want to do whatever you want to someone, but you cross that line, like, that's on you now. Like, you make the decision.
It's always funny too when it comes to the celebrity apologies, because I'm like, I feel like there's no way they can win. Like, what can they, especially if they're an actor, because what can they really say? Everyone in the comments is gonna be like, oh, you're lying, you're an actor, like, how do we believe you? And I feel like unless he's like damn near fucking on a noose, like ready to kill himself, and like the cops are at his house or some shit, like no one's gonna be like, oh, like, we believe you or forgive you. Like, I really do believe for a lot of people, they're like, I've lost respect for Will and I'll never get it back ever again. And I'm like,
that's cap, bro.
Damn,
Will
like,
Smith is the most beloved man in America. Like,
right. I'm like, the slap was also, 100% uncalled for, especially because he walked fucking like half a mile to do it. It wasn't it wasn't like Chris. I could understand maybe if Chris was right in front of him or some shit.
Or like, I've had those moments with my family member when they're like right next to me. You just go, motherfucker, like, because it's like a reaction. But bro, you had like, you walked half a mile. Like, you're telling me like a quarter in, you're not like, let me just walk away.
With like fucking 1,000 people behind him and shit too.
Like, dude, like, nah, that's why, like, I'm like, it's on you, fam. Like, you need to own that shit. Like, hold that L for a minute, because no one's canceling Will Smith, dude. Fuck that. Yeah. But I think like him like owning that shit needs to happen, as opposed to, I'm tired of the disrespect. No. That has nothing to do with this, bro. Like, you could be tired of that shit, but you crossing that line on that man is on you. Like, that's on you to figure out.
Yeah, I did feel bad for Chris Rock. After I watched
one of my boys in the
group
chat was like, how do you discipline your children after they witness you get bitch slapped on national TV?
I know. I mean, that's what a lot. See, that goes back to the masculinity thing. It's like, no one wants to look like a bitch, so people are willing to do outlandish things to not look like a bitch, and then you end up looking like a bitch anyway. So it's like just one of those battles you can't really win. And I always see
funny though, like, I feel like he is. I mean, cut you off, but I feel like it's funny because, like, dude, all his shows are like selling out now because he has a tour. Like, he was gonna have a tour coming up while I'm in at Palm Springs, so that's why I'm not going. But like, all his shows are selling out now. So if anything, I feel like if you tell your kids, like, listen, like, if you just control your demeanor and act a certain way, good things will happen to you. You know what I mean? Because like, bro, like, Chris Rock really hasn't done much these last 4 or 5 years. We're being perfectly honest. So this is the most we've spoken about him in a positive light in some fucking years. So, I mean, if he would have swung back, I don't know if we're doing that. So, if anything, I think this is like an easy talk with your kids or friends. Like, bro, like, I stayed calm, I did my job, and like now I'm fucking reaping the benefits. So
yeah, I from what I gathered online,
shit for the joke. Like, people are like, bro, it was a
no
joke. Like,
I don't think. Well, actually, no, I disagree. I've seen a lot of. I think mostly women say the joke was uncalled for. Like, whatever the condition is like, yeah, maybe it doesn't lead to death, but it still like ruins a woman's confidence and mental health, and it was uncalled for. And the whole, everyone has a right to free speech and everything, but you also have a right to the consequences type of thing. Basically giving him a little leeway. I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree with that, especially in this case, because I don't think the joke, it's not like he made fun of like a deceased family member or some shit. It was like, dude, their hair.
Yeah, or spoke about what Will's been mad about the most, like their relationship. Like, it's not, he's like, oh, it's shocking to see you here, not with August. Like, that's not what he fucking said. Like, he just made a fucking like obvious comment, bro. So yeah, I defend the comedian on this one.
Yeah. And they also did, well, maybe more so Jada, put their business out there, which is another reason why I have like zero desire to be like the biggest ever in anything, really, because I think people think it's glamorous and all fun and games, but like the higher you go, like Denzel apparently said to Will, like when you reach those heights, that's like when the devil comes for you and people want to tear you down. Like he's been called a cuck or whatever for the past year or so.
And dude, so that's how you interpreted that line?
From Denzel?
Yeah.
Essentially, like I felt like Will's kind of like near peak of his career and like he's, you know, getting the Oscar and everything. And I just feel like he was essentially saying like, you've reached this height and that's when people are going to tear you down. Like eventually they're going to try to tear you down. So the way
I interpret it, only because like I'm literally in a Bible study plan right now that is like on the devil. So it was just like fun. I even texted my boy when I saw that quote. So the way I interpret, that's what the great thing about like interpreting quotes, like it's just fun to see other people's perspective.
Right.
The way I interpret that is that when you think shit is sweet, you put your guard down and then you're not on your P's and Q's when it comes to temptation and like the devil whispering in your ear about shit. So I think it was like, so the way I interpret that about Will is like, yeah, dude, I finally won my Oscar. Can't no one fuck with me. And it's like, oh, really? Let me throw a joke at you that fucking wrecks your whole fucking mental psyche. You know what I mean? So that's how I interpreted that line. But again, each their own. Yeah. But because
I think I agree with that. Right. I think maybe I didn't clarify clearly enough, but I felt like he was basically saying this event was his like height and this whole situation was like the devil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just because I didn't do like thinking back to our own lives. Like, I definitely believe in that, bro. Like there's a moment you think shit's fucking sweet, bro. I remember like being at church one day, like my mom passed, like dude, a couple months, bro. And I remember like even asking myself, like, dude, what do I even need this? Like, you know, like life's good. You know what I mean? Like I'm a good dude. I think church is just for people who fuck up a lot in life and they need to like, you know, and I'm like, I don't even need this shit. And then boom, you know what I mean? And obviously COVID but like, I'm not saying God heard me or the devil heard me and like whatever, but
right.
It's you remember in those moments, like, yo, you really need to be aware of like everything and on guard because call the devil, evil spirits, the universe, like, I feel like there is like a thing where you need to be fully aware at all times of situations, like have a plan in place because I feel like, yeah, you put your guard down in certain situations, regardless of who you are, you know, middle income person in Florida or multi-millionaire actor, like shit can change for you drastically.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's why sometimes I have like trouble celebrating accomplishments, like mostly publicly, just because I know nothing's like for certain and I know anything could change at any time. Maybe less about celebrating and more about like boasting and just like relishing in it too much to the point where like, you know, if things don't go your way, then you feel like the world is collapsing. But I do think there's a healthy way to also appreciate those moments because I don't want it to be a damper either to where I can't enjoy any of those highs either.
Nah, dude, I feel like it's gratitude. Like it's just like just if you convey gratitude to whoever you believe in, like I feel like that helps you not come across like you know, arrogant, like, oh, I did this shit finally, fuck it, like, you know, like, so right. I get that, but yeah, so we'll see how this shit plays out, bro. But yeah, I mean, this is the most I've ever thought about an Oscars for close to 5 years. So like the fact that we're even doing this right now, and this is the only thing that every podcast and every platform is talking about still is pretty wild, which is why initially I thought it was like a hoax. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no fucking way this was like a planned event. No one grabbed him. No one kicked him out. Like what? But I think, again, it's Will Smith and no one thinks that's going to happen. So no one grabbed him. But yeah, interesting. But if I had to put all my life savings on it, I think Will Smith will have another movie in a couple years and people will forget about this shit.
Oh, 100%. I mean, people mostly forgot about Travis and people actually died and got hurt. Not to say Travis was at all responsible for that, but just the gravity of the situations don't even compare and people already have moved on there. So I feel like it'll happen here.
Yeah, I totally agree, bro. And again, like this is a situation where, again, it just shouldn't have been in that public setting, but if this would have happened in the backstage,